The last haven drifted to the void like a dying beast, its hull scored with plasma burns and its organic drive core pulsing irregularly, a heartbeat on the verge of flatlining. Inside the fractured command chamber, Scholar Vale pressed three-finger hands against the navigation console, willing the ship to hold together just a little longer. His bioluminescent markings, usually a calm blue, flickered crimson with stress. "They're still tracking us," hissed Kess, his second, her frilled neck flaring in alarm. The judgment of Kor loomed on the rear scanners, a blade-shaped monument to the Galactic Dominion's ruthlessness. Vale exhaled, the air leaving his lungs in a strained hiss. The Dominion had exiled his people for weakness, for their refusal to purge emotions as the Empire demanded. Now, they'd be exterminated for it. "Open a channel," he said. "All frequencies. If there's any species left in this galaxy who'll listen." On the bridge of the human patrol ship Osprey, Captain Elena Vasquez snapped upright as the alert blared. "Contact. Derelict vessel. Bearing 270. Called her tactical officer." The screen flickered to life, revealing a grotesquely beautiful ship, its hull resembling woven kelp fused with metal. "That's not Dominion design," murmured Jake Renner, her chief engineer, leaning in with the curiosity of a man who'd rather take things apart than shoot them. Elena's fingers hovered over the calm first contact protocols demanded caution. Humanity's last alien encounter had ended with the Mars blockade. But then the transmission crackled through, a voice layered with desperation and something else. Dignity. Asterisk, to any who hear this, we are the Zorati. We seek sanctuary or extinction. Asterisk. Silence gripped the Osprey. "They're running from something," Jake said quietly. Elena's mind raced. Sanctuary meant responsibility. Extinction meant walking away. She keyed to comm. "This is Captain Vasquez of the United Colonies. Hold position. We're coming aboard." The boarding team moved through the last haven as corridors in tense formation, their boots sticking slightly to the biogel floors. The air smelled of ozone and something herbal like crushed sage. Vale met them in the atrium, his elongated frame towering yet bent with exhaustion. Up close, his markings pulsed erratically, betraying pain. "You came?" he said. The words weighted with disbelief. Elena kept her sidearm holstered but didn't relax. "Why are you hunted?" Kess snarled, her frills vibrating. "Because we remember. The Dominion rewrites history, purges those who cling to empathy." Vale silenced her with a gesture. "We preserved records of their atrocities. For that, we were deemed." He hesitated, as if the word itself was a wound. "Contaminated." Jake crouched, running a scanner over a wall seam. "Captain, their tech's half alive. Like if coral reefs learned warp physics." He sounded awed. Elena ignored him. "And you think humanity can protect you?" Vale met her gaze. "We think you're the only ones who might try." A proximity alarm shrieked. The tactical officer's voice burst through Elena's earpiece. Asterisk Dominion cruiser just dropped out of slip space. They're locking weapons. Asterisk. The last haven shuddered as a shockwave rattled its bones. Vale's markings flared white. "They'll kill you, too," Kespat, "for witnessing us." Elena's hand went to her comm, Vasquez to Osprey. Another impact. The lights died. In the blackness, Jake's voice was grim. "We just became part of this war, Captain." The Osprey-S engine screamed as Elena gripped the command console, the last Haven-S distress signal still blinking on the tactical display. "Helm, evasive pattern Delta. Get us between that cruiser and the Zorati." The ship lurched, throwing Jake into a station. Alarms wailed as the Dominion's energy signatures spiked. Another volley was coming. Shields at 62%. Tactical barked. "They're targeting the last Haven-S engines." Elena's jaw tightened. The Zorati vessel was a sitting duck, its organic systems too damaged to flee. She opened a channel to Vale. "Can you transfer your crew to us?" Static. Then his voice, strained but steady. "Not in time. Our life support is failing." Jake was already moving, snatching a toolkit. "I can stabilize their systems. Their tech interfaces with ours better than I thought." He met Elena's gaze. "Give me 5 minutes." She wanted to refuse. Protocol demanded retreat, but the Dominion's weapons glowed on the view screen, and Vale's words echoed. You're the only ones who might try. Go. And hurry. Jake's breath fogged his visor as he magnetized his boots to the Last Haven-S shuddering hull. The Dominion's cruiser loomed like a guillotine, its ion cannons charging. Kess guided him through the ship's rib-like corridors, her frills flattened with terror. Your captain is a fool, she hissed. The Dominion doesn't take prisoners. Good thing we're not surrendering, Jake muttered, splicing cables into the Zerati's pulsating drive core. The tech was mesmerizing. Veins of bioluminescent fluid carried data faster than human circuits. He rerouted power from non-essential systems, gritting his teeth as the ship groaned in protest. Tell Vale to prep for a jump. It'll be rough, but... A concussive blast rocked the hull. Jake's toolkit spiraled into the darkness. Kess yanked him aside as a support beam collapsed where he'd stood. Asterisk now asterisk do you fear? She snarled. Jake activated his comm. Captain, we need cover fire. Elena's fingers dug into her armrests. The Osprey-S shields were buckling under the Dominion's assault. All batteries, return fire, target their weapons array. The ship trembled as torpedoes launched, splashing against the cruiser's defenses in bursts of molten light. Minimal damage, Tactical reported. They're adapting. A new alert flashed. The Last Haven S drive was active, but its signature was erratic. Jake, status. Asterisk almost. Got it. Asterisk. His voice crackled with exertion. Asterisk, but we can't jump alone. Their NAV system needs a human ship's coordinates to lock onto. Asterisk. Elena's mind raced. Linking systems mid-battle was insanity. But the alternative. The Osprey-S science officer gasped. Captain, the Dominion's launching boarding drones. Elena made the call. Helm, sync our navigational data to the Last Haven. Jake, get back here now. Jake sprinted through the Last Haven-S shuddering corridors. Kess at his heels. The ship's walls throbbed as the drive core surged, its rhythm syncing with the Osprey's. Vale stood at the airlock, his markings blazing gold with resolve. You risked your life for strangers, he said. Jake grinned, panting. Yeah, well, humanity's got a thing about bullies. A drone exploded through the ceiling behind them, its razor limbs slashing. Kess shoved Jake into the airlock and whirled, her claws extended. Asterisk go. Asterisk. The seal hissed shut just as the drone lunged. Jake's last sight was Kess's snarl. Then the Osprey-S grapplers yanked him into the void. Elena watched the Last Haven-S jump drive ignite, its organic light swallowing the Dominion's drones. Now, helm. Punch it. The Osprey leapt to slip space as the cruiser's final barrage rocketed past. The bridge crew exhaled as stars streaked into blue-shifted tunnels. Then Jake stumbled in, helmet cracked, his suit smeared with Zorati biogel. Kess. Elena's silence was answer enough. Vale stood at the view screen, his reflection floating against the infinite dark. They'll follow, he said softly. The Dominion never stops. Jake wiped gel from his face. Then we make sure they regret it. Outside, the Last Haven-S wake shimmered like a beacon, and deeper in the void, something vast and hungry stirred. The Osprey emerged from slip space with shudder, its hull groaning from the strain. Elena studied the tactical display. No Dominion signatures yet, but static hissed at the edge of the scanners, like a predator holding its breath. Behind her, Vale stood motionless, his bioluminescent markings dimmed to a sorrowful violet. The loss of Kess hung heavy in the air. Jake wiped grease from his hands, his usual smirk absent. We patched the Last Haven enough for one jump, but she won't survive another fight. Elena exhaled. Then we make sure it doesn't come to that. She turned to Vale. Where's the safest place for your people? Vale's frills twitched. Nowhere is safe. But there are whispers, a network of outcasts, hiding from the Dominion. His claws flexed. If we can reach them, we can warn them. A proximity alert blared. The science officer stiffened. Captain. Long range can detect a slip space rupture. Multiple signatures. Elena's blood turned to ice. The Dominion? Unknown. But whatever's coming, it's bigger. Jake sprinted to engineering, Vale close behind. The Osprey S systems were already pushed to their limits, but the Dominion had reinforcements. Vale placed a three-fingered hand on a console, his markings flaring. Your ship is wounded, but together we can make it stronger. Jake raised an eyebrow. You're not just a scholar, are you? Vale's gaze darkened. I was an engineer, before the Dominion labeled such skills unnecessary. He interfaced with the ship's systems, his bioluminescence pulsing in sync with the Osprey's flickering lights. The engines hummed louder, smoother. Jake grinned. Okay, let's see what this thing can really do. On the bridge, Elena braced as the unknown vessels dropped out of slip space. Her breath caught, not Dominion. These ships were jagged, asymmetrical, alien asterisk in a way even the Zorti weren't. Their hulls shimmered like fractured glass, refracting starlight into eerie patterns. A transmission crackled through, untranslated at first, then resolving into broken universal. Asterisk, you carry the marked ones. Surrender them. Asterisk. Elena's grip tightened on her armrest. Identify yourselves. Silence. Then, asterisk, we're the remnant. The Dominion's first victims. Asterisk. Vale's frills flared in recognition. They were purged centuries ago. No one survived. The lead remnant ship powered weapons. Asterisk, we survived. And we will not let the marked ones fall into Dominion hands again. Asterisk. Elena's mind raced. The remnant saw the Zorti as a threat or a prize. Either way, they wouldn't listen. Helm, she said quietly. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Jake's voice burst over the calm asterisk. Captain, we got a problem. The remnant's emissions are interfering with our systems. If we jump now, the last haven might not make it. Asterisk. Elena swore, trapped between two hostile forces, with a ship full of refugees and a crew pushed to their limits. Vale stepped forward. There's another way. His markings blazed gold. The Zorti have a last defense, a psychic pulse. It will disable both our ships and theirs, but only for minutes. Elena narrowed her eyes. You never mentioned this. It was forbidden. The Dominion hunted us for it. His voice dropped. But if we do not act, we all die. A beat. Then Elena nodded. Do it. Vale closed his eyes. The Osprey S-lights dimmed as his bioluminescence flared brighter, brighter. A shockwave erupted from the ship, silent and invisible, but Jake felt it in his bones. The remnant vessels shuddered, their shimmering hulls going dark. The Osprey systems died, plunging them into eerie silence. Elena counted the seconds in the blackness. Then, engines sputtered back to life. The remnant ships drifted, powerless. Go. Vale whispered, slumping against the console. Asterisk now. Asterisk. Elena didn't hesitate. Helm. Maximum jump. Asterisk, get us out of here. Asterisk. The Osprey and the last haven vanished into slip space, leaving the remnant and the Dominion far behind. Jake found Vale in the med bay, his markings dull from exertion. You okay? Vale's frills twitched. We are alive. That is enough. Elena entered, her expression unreadable. The remnant will recover, and the Dominion won't stop hunting us. Jake crossed his arms. So what's the plan? A slow smile spread across Elena's face. We find the other outcasts. We fight back. Outside the viewport, stars streaked past, not as a retreat, but a promise. The galaxy had tried to break them. They had just begun to answer. The Osprey drifted in the quiet dark of an uncharted system, its engines cooling after the desperate jump. Elena studied the star map, her fingers tracing possible routes. Every known sector was a risk now. The Dominion would be hunting them. The remnant would remember. And the last haven, limping alongside them, was a beacon for both. Jake leaned against the console, his usual humor subdued. So, where do outcasts go when nowhere safe? Vale's bioluminescent markings pulsed slowly, like a fading heartbeat. There are stories, he murmured. A place called the Vale, a hidden system where the Dominion's eyes don't reach. Elena raised an eyebrow. Myths don't keep us alive. Neither does standing still, Jake countered. A chime from the comms panel cut through the tension. The last haven was hailing them. Vale activated the channel, and a voice rasped through, weak but urgent. Asterisk, we're detecting a signal. Encrypted, repeating. It's Zordy. Asterisk. Elena exchanged a glance with Jake. A trap? Vale's frill stiffened. Or survivors. The signal led them to a derelict station, its hull pocked with ancient weapon scars. It orbited a dead star, invisible to long-range scans. Jake suited up, magnetic boots clamping to the station's rusted plating as he cut through the airlock. Inside, the walls were lined with Zordy's script, names, dates, a record of the hunted. Someone hid here, Jake muttered, for a long time. Vale moved like a ghost through the corridors, his markings flaring as he touched the etchings. This was a waypoint, for those who escaped the purges. He paused at a shattered terminal, its screen flickering with a single line of text. Follow the light where shadows lie. Jake whistled. Cryptic. I like it. Elena's grip tightened on her sidearm. We're not alone. Figures emerged from the darkness. Emaciated Zority, their markings dull with malnutrition. Their leader, a scarred elder, stepped forward. You are the ones they hunt, they said, voice brittle. The ones who defied the Dominion. Vale bowed his head. We seek the Veil. The elder's eyes gleamed. Then you will need a guide. Back on the Osprey, the elder, introducing himself as Terror, unfolded a star chart. The Dominion's borders are a cage, they said, claw tracing a route through contested space. But there are cracks. Here. A system blinked unremarkable. The Veil lies within a nebula. Its radiation scatters sensors. To find it, you must follow the pulse of a dying star. Jake frowned. That's poetic, but how do we navigate it? Terror produced a small crystalline device. This will resonate with the beacon. But the Dominion knows of it now. They will be waiting. Elena studied the chart. Then we don't give them a target. She turned to Jake. Can you modify the last haven as signature? Make it mimic a Dominion patrol? He grinned. Oh, I love this plan. 2 jumps later, the trap was set. The Osprey lurked in the nebula's fringe, its engine silent, while the last haven, now broadcasting stolen Dominion codes, drifted toward the coordinates. Vale watched the scanners, his markings taut with tension. They'll see through it. Not if they're arrogant enough, Elena said. A Dominion cruiser materialized, its weapons hot. Hailing frequencies crackled. Asterisk, unidentified patrol, authenticate. Asterisk, Jake, impersonating a Dominion officer through a garbled channel, barked back. Asterisk, system override Gamma 7. Hold your fire. Asterisk, a pause. Then, asterisk, authentication invalid. Open fire. The last haven S shields flared as it took the hit, just long enough for the Osprey to slide behind the cruiser, point blank. Elena's voice was ice. Target their engines. Torpedoes streaked through the dark. The cruiser's hull split like rotten fruit. In the silence that followed, Terror activated the beacon. The nebula shimmered, its gases parting to reveal a hidden jump point. Jake let out a low whistle. Well, that's something you don't see every day. Elena allowed herself one breath of relief. Then, helm, take us in. As the Osprey crossed the threshold, the stars behind them winked out, sealed once more by the Veil's defenses. Ahead, a planet hung in the void, its surface dotted with lights. Veil's breath caught. They're alive. Terror's claws dug into the console. Not just alive. Ready. The comms panel lit up with dozens of signals. Ships, stations, a network of the lost and the defiant, the Dominion's nightmare, and humanity's new war.